Hello and welcome to another video by FPL Chats. My name is Josh and today I'm going to be talking about Game Week 12, the upcoming transfer plans, and yeah, just planning ahead generally. So let's get into it. On my screen, I've brought up the website fpl.team, which is a super helpful website if you want to plan ahead. And yeah, you can skip ahead to as many game weeks as you like, and also making the transfers for those game weeks. So, for example, if I were to take out Gabriel for this week and bring in Anderson, which is one of my possible transfer targets, we're only an hour and a half away from the deadline while I'm recording this video, and I still have not made my transfers, so it's a last minute job today. But anyway, yeah, so if you don't know about fpl.team, I would check it out because, yeah, it's a brilliant tool to use. So Anderson's in, and he'll remain in for the game weeks ahead. So if I skip to game week 13, he'll remain in there. And then, yeah, I can then take him out in game week 13 if I wanted to. And yeah, so it's a really helpful tool to use in that respect. So I'm just going to undo that transfer. Nope. Computer's being slow. Okay, doesn't matter anyway. So there's a few there's a few problems with my team already for game week 12. As you can see, I've got 4 Man City Arsenal players in. You might have something similar for your team. And yeah, the team's generally not looking so good. I've got 1 transfer in the bank. And yeah, so 1 free transfer available, and 0 money in the bank because I just transferred out Anderson. Let's try that again. So there's I brought up a few tabs up here if my computer will load, which is regarding the possible transfers that I'm looking to bring in. So we've got Crystal Palace is a team that I'd like to target as a defensive option because their fixtures are looking pretty good coming up, and yeah, the main kind of player I want to target is Anderson, and the reason purely for that is as a Crystal Palace option is because, as you can see here, expected goals, he's by far in top for Crystal Palace. There's a few other teams that I'd like to target as well because I think that Tottenham, for example, have been defending well. Again, I've ordered it by XG here, so you can see by far and large Ryan Sessegnon is the most has the most XG. Just bearing in mind though, he's only played 5 games this season, so there is a bit of a risk of bringing him in. So then Chelsea is another team that I wanted to target because I think they've looked okay defensively. Kepa's looked very good, but in terms of defenders, Reece James, unsurprisingly, is top for XG. Raheem Sterling, who's been classed as a defender by this website Understat, again a very good free tool that you can use. FPL.team is also free. Marco Correa, Koulibaly. So we're looking at 0.26 XG, which is probably about average for a defender generally. Sessegnon is by far in the large the one with the leading XG, 1.46. He's probably had a few big chances. And then Liverpool's another team that I think is looking better defensively, and again I have got a few good fixtures coming up. And Van Dijk is top for XG, with Trent very closely behind him. So yeah, those are like 3 or 4 players that I think could work well in my team. Just going off XG for now. Yeah, so those are some players I'd want to consider. Now, not just considering the individual player, I also want to consider the team as a whole and how well they've been defending recently. So over the 10 games, we're still on Liverpool's stats here. So you can see the expected goals against statistic, which basically means how many goals teams are expected to score against Liverpool. So from open play we've got 10, and then under 1, which is very good. Under about 0.3 there, 0.16. So overall probably around 12 goals Liverpool are expected to concede, which is pretty good if you ask me. So 12 goals in like 10 games or so, that's not too bad. So Liverpool seem to be defending, stats wise at least, pretty well. If you look at the shots against as well, so how many shots teams having against them, so 68, 8, 5, 2, 2. So then if I compare that to a team like Chelsea, and we look at their expected goals against, it's actually better than Liverpool's from open play, but then it's much worse than Liverpool's from corners. So Chelsea maybe are a bit susceptible to corners. Something to bear in mind if you're playing against a team which focuses on set pieces. So this week Chelsea are playing against Brentford, for example, and Brentford are a team that like to throw the ball into the box from long throw-ins. They have good set piece routines, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Brentford were to score against Chelsea in this game. So maybe if I'm considering a Chelsea defender for this week, maybe I should consider it again for that reason. Shots against, open play 61, from corners 23. So again, kind of similar to Liverpool, more on the corners, they're conceding more per corners. But so Liverpool maybe a better defending from corners, definitely at least, and set pieces. But from open play, Chelsea are slightly better at defending. Moving on to Tottenham. Again, from open play, it's good reading for Tottenham. It's good reading all round, if you ask me, for Spurs, in terms of expected goals against, until you move on to shots against. So it's interesting that teams are having nearly twice as many shots against Spurs than Chelsea are having against them and Liverpool are having against them. But their expected goals against is still like slightly better than Chelsea's and Liverpool's. So that tells me that the opponents are having lots of shots, but the quality of the chance that the opponent is taking against Spurs is much less per shot. So it's interesting reading. And then Crystal Palace finally. So expected goals against is more than the other three, but the other three are regarded as top teams. So about a goal more they're expected to concede in open play, around the same as Chelsea's from corners, and more on set pieces. The shots that they are the shots against is it's kind of like it's okay for Crystal Palace. I guess, I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to be paying a lot of money for a Crystal Palace defender reading these kinds of statistics, but thankfully they are cheaper than your bigger team defenders. So bearing all that in mind, if I go back to my planner, because currently I've got Anderson in, I will be looking to take a -4 this week because it allows me to then field 10 players. I think 10 would be just about enough to get me by. Reece James is injured this week. He's injured till after the World Cup, unfortunately for him. And if I were to put in somebody like Robertson, so it's actually telling me I can't afford that. So instead of Anderson for now, I can put in. I'll leave it like that for now. But Gahey is like 0.2 million less than Anderson, so I would be able to afford him. And I can skip it on to see how they'll be faring in their upcoming games. So Crystal Palace have got Everton, Liverpool have got Nottingham Forest, and because of the so Nico Williams, I'll be able to sub out, bring back in the Man City and Arsenal players. So probably Trossard would leave then at that point. Another thing that I've been considering for this week is Mo Salah. So Mohamed Salah, obviously he got that goal against Man City, really important win for Liverpool, and he also got that hat trick against Rangers, albeit Rangers are a lesser team. So I've got a bit of anxiety around Salah and not having him basically. As in that's somebody else I could consider bringing in. If I go back to game week 12 and I undo the transfer is already made. Sorry guys, my computer's being really slow. No, it's not working. Whenever I'm unsure about who to bring in, there we go. It's gone back to it now. So the two previous, if I were to have brought in Robertson and Anderson or Gahey of Crystal Palace, then I would have 10 players to field. However, to bring in Salah, I would need to get rid of a more expensive player. So that might have to be Haaland or Foden or Son or maybe Cancelo. Not sure if I can get him by bringing in Cancelo actually either, unless I were to get rid of a playing player. The most easiest route, I want to keep Haaland because I'll just want him back if I get rid of him this game week. Son would be the player to be sacrificed. I only brought in Son last week. However, that shouldn't be something that really comes into thinking for decisions, because it's FPL is something that you move on, don't you? You always move on, and previous game week shouldn't make a difference unless looking at form and things. But anyway, if I were to take out Son, that would mean that I'm kind of taking out one of the players who I have playing this week, and at the moment I'm limited on those players. So tricky decisions, but when I'm really unsure and I really think that maybe Salah's going to do well, and I start to look for different articles, start to look at different possibilities, just different possibilities for outcomes of the game. So I was reading an article earlier on Sky Sports, and there's somebody who's written this article who believes that Liverpool might struggle against West Ham, and as a non-Salah owner, that's something I love to hear. Maybe I'm looking for stuff which is just making me feel a bit easier, but this is the only article that thinks that that West Ham will do well against Liverpool. But thinking about it, there is a possibility that Salah could blank in this game, because in the last two games where he's done well, Rangers were very, very open when he got his hat trick, and Man City were also very open for them, and a lot of kind of people suggesting that Pep kind of approached the game in the wrong way and just allowed kind of there to be a lot of open space against Liverpool. West Ham won't be doing that. West Ham will be much more compact, you would think, and would be organised to the point where they might crowd out Salah. Now, Salah's a world-class player. He can provide special moments. We've seen it in the past. So that might not be enough to stop it. But it is something to consider that West Ham will approach the game much more differently than Man City did. And coupled with the fact, if I wanted to get Salah, I would need to take multiple hits. and also potentially take out Son. Now, Son's got Man United away, which isn't the easiest game, but I've got to weigh up whether I think it's worth the risk, which in this case I don't think it is. So I will probably be looking to transfer in a player from one of the teams that I've suggested in the XG stats, and yeah, and kind of cross my fingers to see if Salah to hope Salah doesn't punish me. But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. I yeah, I'm hoping to post some more videos in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you again, and see you again. Bye bye.